On the morning of the 7th of August 2008, Russia invaded Georgia, sending its 58th Army into sovereign Georgian territory. Russian forces had prepared by conducting large-scale exercises near the Georgian border in the weeks before, but instead of returning to their barracks, they stayed on. In parallel, Russian-controlled separatists shelled Georgian-majority villages in South Ossetia, seeking to provoke a Georgian response. The so-called South Ossetian defense minister overseeing the separatists was actually a Russian Major General, Alexei Lunev. The army of one state had crossed the border of another without consent, making it a clear-cut case of military aggression under international law. Georgia not only had the right of self-defense, but an obligation to its people to resist, with Russian artillery fire inflicting casualties on Georgian civilians. Russia next sought to blame its victim for the conflict, saying Georgia had failed to avoid war. Any resistance from Georgia, Kremlin propaganda outlets had said, was unjustified and futile. 14 years later, Russia is using the same tactics to justify its invasion of Ukraine. It's an old playbook. Soviet Russia invaded Georgia's first democratic republic in 1921, despite having recognized its independence the year before. And Soviet officials and propaganda outlets then tried to place the blame on Georgia's democratically elected politicians. For example, after the occupation began, a prominent Soviet politician, Mamia Orakhelashvili, scolded lawmakers from Georgia's parliament, by then suspended, telling them that it was due to the erratic policies of Georgia's first elected leader, Noé Jordania, that so many young Georgian men had died. When I looked into the trenches and saw the dead bodies of so many young soldiers and cadets, I almost fainted, he said. This falsehood was repeated again and again in Soviet-occupied Georgia in the decades afterwards. And Russia is pushing the same message at Ukrainians today. Resisting a big power seeking to conquer a sovereign state is mistaken and futile, and any sacrifice will be in vain. But this is Russian propaganda, and it has a long history.